Welcome to the Law School Insider, where we have conversations with students, lawyers, and employers.
Succeeding in law school is something that you must prepare for, not only before you begin, but throughout your law school journey, and that's what this podcast is all about. I am your host, Dr. Christopher Lewis, and I will draw from my over 20 years of experience in the college admission field, as well as bring forth the experiences of others as we delve deeper into the issues. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Law School Insider. I'm your host, Dr. Christopher Lewis, and I'm so excited to be able to have you back again this week. This week, I am just pleased to be able to bring you Dennis Swan, who is the CEO and president of Sparrow Hospital and Sparrow Health Systems in Lansing, Michigan. And he has been in the community for a very long time. He is a alum of Western Michigan University, Cooley Law School, and is using his law degree in a very unique way. So I wanted to be able to bring him on to be able to talk about the journey that he went through, to be able to go into the position that he's in, but also to talk about how that legal degree fits in with what he does on a daily basis as well. So, Mr. Swan, thanks so much for joining us this week.
Very happy to do this. I've been looking forward to it.
Well, I have been looking forward to talking to you as well. And I'm really interested in the journey that you've been on, because I know that when you came to Lansing and you were already at Sparrow Hospital, you made the choice of going through law school. And I know in talking to you before we started our interview today, you said you did it a little bit the hard way. So talk to us a little bit about this journey, and what was it about the law that made you want to go through that process while working and doing what you're doing?
Well, Chris, first of all, I had a strong desire to be an attorney from the beginning and got involved in the banking business for about 10 or 12 years. In the course of that, I was still committed to going to law school. So I reached a point in my life where I had to make a decision. Would I leave a good, solid career in banking and go full-time to law school, or would I try to have a position that would allow me to go to law school and work full-time? And so that's my definition of trying to do it the hard way. I decided to do that. And fortunately for me, that worked out very, very well here at Sparrow, where I was able to put in some pretty long hours each day, pretty much 7 days a week, and at the same time go to law school on a full-time basis at night. So I enjoyed doing that. Some of the best years of my life, very candidly, and I will guarantee this taught me to be a great time manager, no doubt about that.
Now, you said that it helped you to time manage, and I'm sure it did, with working 7 days a week and trying to do that. What were some of the things that you did to be able to best manage your time? Because that's something that all law students have to learn for themselves. But if you can offer some advice, I'm sure that would help.
Well, I thought I was good at time management, managing my career, and of course having a family as well. But I took it to new heights as far as that goes, and that is very disciplined about how much was going to be accomplished each day in terms of my legal studies. And that meant for me getting home about 10 or 15 at night or something like that, having a late dinner, and then hitting the books. At the same time, being able to use the modest amount of sleep, get started about 5:30 the next morning, get on about things, get into work, be one of the first people in at work, very candidly, and then go from there. So you just manage your time. You don't do a whole lot of reading for pleasure. You don't spend a whole lot of time in movies. I can guarantee you that, because the time that I wouldn't be committing to work or committing to Cooley, I reserve for the family. And so largely that was make sure that you can accomplish a lot of things with the family on the weekends. But again, you'd have to even schedule that time out pretty well. Thankfully, my wife was very understanding and had a little tiny daughter at that point who went along for the ride, so to speak. But, I think that was it. It was always being conscious that each day you needed to be productive and be preparing for what was certainly going to unfold in terms of the process, including getting ready for finals.
Now, there are some students that think that they can't do law school because of the commitments that they have families, they have jobs, they have other commitments. And it sounds like you had a lot of those commitments too. What would you say to those students that think that this is out of their reach because of the commitments that they have?
I definitely think that it's doable. It may not be for everybody. I would emphasize that. But it is doable, but it is a matter of saying that the family needs to make decisions about what sort of expectations there will be on you for, family affairs and that sort of thing. In terms of your employer has to at least be friendly to that. For example, in my case, I would use all of my vacation time over the course of the year as we got ready for finals. So there'd be no vacations taken as vacation, but the vacation would be dedicated to preparing for the final exams. That can sometimes be an issue with an employer. People were very cooperative about that here because certain times I had to be off. You try to plan ahead in that regard. I'd say the big thing is the family has to support you if you're in a family situation, like I was, and then you have to be really resolute about it. It's something you've decided to do. It's a goal. You can do it, but you've got to make some choices and then don't look back.
I like that you said that because I think that you do have to make a commitment to it. And, if for those students that have not made the commitment, I see students that have challenges and struggle with that because law school is not easy. And we've talked about that a lot on the show, that there are a lot of ups and downs and things that you will not expect when you go into law school. That doesn't mean that it is not doable, as Mr. Swan said, but it is something that you have to work at. And it takes time, it takes effort. Now, Mr. Swan, you have made a career in the healthcare industry, and you've taken your law degree and have been able to use that in the healthcare industry as well. And that's a little bit of a unique area because you're on the administrative side. So I want to talk a little bit about how you utilize your legal education on a daily basis, because I know that there are other people out there that might think, I have an interest in law, but I don't see the parallels, or I'm trying to figure out how this fits in. And what I always say is there's lots of ways you can use a law degree, and it's a way of thinking. But I want to hear your thoughts on this.
Well, there's no doubt about it that it applies every day, and there's no exaggeration involved because fundamentally what you do in a leadership role like this is you are a problem solver. In fact, you try to put systems and processes in place to avoid problems in the first place, but inevitably there will be bumps in the road, there'll be issues, opportunities you need to try to either address or capitalize. So it's a lot about problem solving. So without question, it's helped me always be able to get to the root of the problem and think in a very logical way about, how we can then sort our way out and through this situation. But for me, it goes beyond that. Negotiations are a major part of what I do in this job. And without question, the ability to synthesize large amounts of information, reduce it down to what's really meaningful, and then to be able to articulate clearly what you're trying to accomplish and how you want to go about a negotiation is key. So I've done a lot of labor negotiations in this role in the past. I don't do as much today as I used to, but I'm doing transactions, real estate transactions, joint venture transactions, whatever else might be on a very routine basis. And without a doubt, it can be sort of formidable in a room where you have counsel representing people across the table from you in these negotiations, but at the same time you're fully prepped yourself in terms of your legal background and then all the experience that I've had over time. So directly relevant. When I originally went to law school, the idea was, in fact, I would either become a consultant or practice law. That was sort of the idea. And when I came out, had opportunities to do both, but the opportunity here to move into line executive role was just too great. So I took that on, and again, really pleased that I did that when I look back.
Now, you have been very successful in the career that you have been in, and you were successful in law school as well. What type of advice do you have for students that are either thinking about law school, just starting, or going through law school right now that could help them to find similar success in law school and in their careers?
I'd say a major thing is, I already mentioned in terms of if they happen to be married and have a family, make sure the family is also committed to what you're trying to do. That will help take a lot of pressure off of you about sort of obligations that you might have to have, because you can, to some degree, structure that, but you need cooperation to be able to do that. But in terms of law school, or for that matter, any sort of career, professional career, whether that be law or ultimately maybe it becomes a executive role or wherever, you got to network. So much about what I've been able to do here is the number of people that I know across not just mid-Michigan, across the state, people I've networked across the nation with, always being open to learn from other people. So, that's the number one thing I always talk about is having the humility to know that you don't have a corner on it all. In fact, don't need to have a corner on it all. Great ideas out there, but you need to connect with people so they'd be willing to share those great ideas with you. And then you got to be able to take that knowledge and do something with it. But I'd say networking is really key.
Networking is definitely key, and I've heard that numerous times from numerous guests, and we have tried to talk about some of those things. Now, you have networked in many different ways. I know you're involved in many different ways within the Lansing community. And have you found that there are specific things that have helped you to be better at networking? Because I know that for some students, it's a little bit daunting to put yourself out there and to try to build those connections so that you can learn from others.
Well, it always starts with first the word yes. There'll be many opportunities that come your way to volunteer, to be a part of a board or a group, or to participate, or very candidly get a chance to be a leader as well. Will you say yes, or will you demur on that, put that off, let somebody else do that, however it might be? So what I'm really saying is it always gets down to presence. You can't phone these things in as to try to get engaged in a community or with professional organizations or collaborations of one kind or another. You got to be there, got to be present, got to be active participant. And I maintain you've got to be willing to step up and try to be a leader in what you're doing as well. There's a big difference between sitting around a board table and being the person that's got the gavel in their hands, and that you just prepare differently. You have to know the subject and all that. So, but I think it really gets down to being able to say yes and take that fateful step forward. So many people think about it, they agonize too long, and then they ultimately don't do it, and they lose great opportunities as a result of that.
You heard it here today, everyone, from Mr. Swan, to make sure that you take advantage of the opportunities that are put in front of you. If you get offered something, say yes. Take those opportunities, jump in, see what you can do, and you never know where those can lead. Now, Mr. Swan, I want to say thank you for being here today and for sharing all of this with our listeners. I know that the resources and information that you've shared is definitely going to help them throughout their own journey. And I am looking forward to hearing more about your success in the future, and we may have to have you back on in the future.
Chris, I really look forward to it. For anybody that's at base camp trying to climb the mountain, the point of it is you actually can do it, but I really think what you have to do is each day planning for what you're going to do next, then executing on that, reflecting on that, then going to the next step. That's really what it is. That's true in life as far as that goes as well. And it's just a matter of, it's amazing if you try to think it's going to be all done in one fell swoop or one gulp or something. That's not the way it's done. It's one bite at a time. Just keep moving forward.
Appreciate you sharing that today, and thank you again for being on.
Very good. Thank you very much.
Well, that was another great guest this week on the Law School Insider. If you have an interest in being a guest on the show, drop me an email at lawschoolinsider@cooley.edu. And thank you all for listening today, and remember, you have the ability and right to take control of your law school's success. I hope you'll continue listening, creating a plan for success that will prepare you to achieve the dreams that you have set for yourself. Talk to you next time. Thanks for listening. You're on your way to being a Law School Insider. Please subscribe to stay connected and come back again next time as we speak to more students, lawyers, and employers.